We are hammering the last 3-pack of the powers, the Unity 12 powers. We got your zeal. We got your order, and we have your elimination. Now, when I meditated on these 3 powers, or these 3 aspects, one of the aspects of the Christed one, or the Buddha, or the true self, I thought, wow, so there's your zeal, the excitement, the ability to just, to be in touch with our aliveness. That's what zeal is all about. And order, well, oh my gosh, who doesn't love order? I mean, we have to have things in some kind of order. Our need for order looks different from person to person, but we do have to have order. We love to put things in order. I know I like to order people around. And then elimination. Now, I had this beautiful example of why we need elimination in our lives. Yesterday, I was riding my bike, and I usually just ride my bike and drink everything in, and every now and then I see something that like smacks me and I want to take a picture, and I swear there was the most beautiful tree I'd ever seen in my whole life, and I stopped my bike and got off and whipped out my camera, only it wouldn't take a picture because I had too much stuff stored. So, so I took a head picture, I remember that tree. But, I mean, isn't that true? When we have too many things stored in our camera or our lives, we really have to eliminate them. And the other thing I thought about all those things together, it's like fall is the perfect example of all those things. Man, look, if there's not zeal outside in the leaves, I don't know what zeal is. That's the universe just, rocking it home with the zeal. And order, of course, the order of the universe, the progression of the seasons, the leaves must fall off. They must fall in our yards. We must rake them and all that, but there's an order to this, of course. There has to be that. And then elimination, of course, symbolized by, the leaves have to fall to have winter and to get ready for spring. And it's such a good metaphor for our lives. Fall is a great metaphor for our lives and a great metaphor for these 3 things. And then when I was meditating on these 3 aspects of letting the Christ be, let the Christ through me, I don't want to force it. I want to let these qualities in me come out. I want actually to surrender so that these qualities can make themselves known, not from my head, but from my spiritual being. That's really how I want to do it. When I'm meditating on this, and I realized forgiveness. Forgiveness is the key for me, for these 3 aspects. I've talked to you before about forgiveness, and I will talk to you again about forgiveness because we probably can't get enough of that. And I found a story about forgiveness that made me weep and also celebrate at the same time. This is the story of Amy Beale, a 26-year-old woman. She had taken a Fulbright scholarship to research women's rights and fight segregation in South Africa. She was pulled from her car and stabbed to death by a mob in Guguletu Township near Cape Town. It happened 2 days before she was coming home to be reunited with her family and her longtime boyfriend. She didn't know he was planning to ask her to marry him. It was a tragedy. 2 years later, Amy's parents returned to the township where she was killed and met with some of the killers' families to console them. And let's watch, I have about a 1-minute video just so you can see the people, to see the parents. Let's just look at this for a bit.
In 1993, on the eve of democracy in South Africa, Amy Beale, a Fulbright scholar from Stanford University studying the role of women in South Africa, was stoned and stabbed to death by a mob of young men in the township of Gugulethu in Cape Town. After the 4 young men were convicted and sentenced to 18 years in prison, they applied for amnesty through Archbishop Tutu's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Determined to honor their daughter's commitment to South Africa and its people, Amy's parents, Peter and Linda Beale, participated in the Commission's hearings. In an act of forgiveness, they chose to support amnesty for the youths, and the men were set free after spending 5 years in prison. After their release, 2 of the young men, humbled by the act of forgiveness, chose to dedicate themselves to the development of underprivileged youths and reached out to the Beales. Today, they continue to work with the Amy Beale Foundation, helping to ensure a brighter future for thousands of children.
Every time I get tears in my eyes. And it isn't just about the loss of the child, it's about the open-heartedness that somebody could have to forgive. And what a difference. What a difference in circumstances that happen to us. And to be able to open your heart and realize that whatever harm has befallen you or the people you love from another human, that they are indeed a human on the same path that we are on, and that we can actually connect with our open heart. We can connect. And it is our work, as I say, week after week. It is so important that we do this work in the world today. We need to do this work in the world today. We don't all need to go to South Africa. We don't all even need to go into the parks and feed the homeless people in Des Moines. But we do need to open our hearts and do our own forgiveness work where we sit and where we stand. It is imperative. Last night, after I watched that little clip, and the sweetness is that there's this beautiful foundation that is still going strong that helps kids in around Cape Town. You can look it up on the internet if it rings a chime with your heart. That out of grief and loss, with somebody opening their heart, and obviously the whole community too opening their heart, that came goodness. So how do we do our forgiveness work, for the things that have happened to us? We have some beautiful spiritual practices in place that we can do. I started thinking, well, I've done a lot of forgiveness work. Is there something in me last night? Is there anything I need to forgive? And I'll be darned if something didn't pop up. Something from a long time ago of somebody that apparently I still had not forgiven for him for breaking my heart. You know how things happen like that. Somebody breaks your heart, I think. And I was surprised to find out that I still had some feelings about that, and I did. And how was I going to do that? How was I going to forgive the person? Well, luckily we have some great spiritual teachers who give us spiritual practice. One of the first spiritual practices I learned when I was serious about enlightenment was something called the forgiveness diet. I'd gone to a workshop, and Sandra Ray was the facilitator of the workshop. She had a practice based on the scripture from Matthew 18 Then Peter came and said to him, Lord, if another member of the church or my brother sins against me, how often should I forgive? As many as 7 times? Jesus said to him, not 7 times, but I tell you, 70 times 7. So Sandra took this beautiful scripture. She just made a very practical way we could forgive somebody 70 times 7. And you just take a notebook or 7 pieces of paper, and you figure out who you want to forgive, and you write, I forgive John completely. And you write it 70 times a day. You want to split it, half in the morning, half at night. I forgive this person completely. And maybe you need to forgive a situation. I forgive this situation completely. And you write it for 7 days in a row. And I assure you that every time I have taken the time to do this great spiritual practice, miracles of forgiveness happen. Because it's using that, the principle of elimination, when you let go of something that's taking up energy in you, a closed part of your heart or an angry part of your heart, it makes room for spirit to grow a new tree, to let in some light. And we don't even know what it's going to be, but there will be room. So that is one beautiful spiritual practice that you can do. Another spiritual practice from our Buddhist friends is the practice of loving kindness, where you do a short little prayer about loving kindness, which I'll lead us through. And what you do is you do this prayer, and you picture, first you do it for yourself, you hold yourself in loving kindness. Then you do it for someone that you love, that's easy for you to love, that's close to your heart. And then you do it for someone who you might consider an enemy or somebody who you might need to forgive. And you do this every day. And if you want to put a number on it, go ahead and make it 21 days. In 21 days, if you do this every day with the same person, I assure you that another miracle of forgiveness will happen. At least inside, and often when I do these practices, it is amazing how the person calls you up or something, you see something that gets freed in your life and something works a little better. Let's do this together. So we're going to take about 3 minutes. It's a short little prayer. And first, just go ahead and place yourself, a picture of yourself. If you like your baby self or your 3-year-old self, just picture your face in your own heart. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I awaken to the light of my own true nature. May I be healed. May I be a source of healing for all beings. And now, place the person in your heart who you love, who it's so easy for you to love. See their face. May you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. And now, place the face of someone who you have a little forgiveness work to do. Just place their face in your heart. Feel them. And as I say these words, may you be at peace. May your heart remain open. May you awaken to the light of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all beings. And so that is another lovely spiritual practice that we can do for forgiveness. So as we go around the rest of this beautiful day in the fall, every time you see a beautiful tree that you like, you can think of zeal to be alive. You can think of adding how order manifests itself in all our lives when we let spirit manifest order, and how those leaves are going to fall away just like any closed-heartedness that we want to get rid of. The leaves are just going to fall away along with the closed-heartedness. I leave you with a quote from Rumi. I'm going to just paraphrase this, that when for love, you don't need to look for love. All you need to do is seek and find the barriers that you have against love. Let's take an offering for unity.